Yo, what's up guys? My name is FC3 and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you a couple of ways that I like to approach a brand new sample pack, so I'm inviting you to join me. What do you say? Alright guys, so real quick before we get started, I just wanted to touch on some of the upgrades you may notice. These items are pretty well known, so there's already thousands of videos that I'm sure you could find going into detail on this stuff. Alright, so the microphone that I'm using is the SHURE SM7B. It's a mic that I've wanted for a long time. I'm sure you've seen it on a bunch of different podcasts. It's been used on a bunch of my favorite records, so that's why I got it. The headphones that I'm using are TECHNICA M40s. I also picked up this boom arm for the microphone. If you're interested in any of these items, I'll have the link for them down below in the description. Alright dude, so the homie Chris Punsalon just sent me his brand new sample pack from the Soul, but before we make a beat, I wanted to show you guys some of the really dope features in it. He kind of organized it in a way, particularly with the drums, to where you can kind of pick and drag and drop different elements. You can take the snares out, add different snares, different kicks, and completely change the feel really quickly to get just to kind of get everything out of the way, in my opinion, and kind of move on and just kind of get in that groove a lot quicker. Never really seen anybody do that before. Not sure if it's been done before, but I really liked it, so we're gonna take a look at that. So for that, we're gonna head to the screen. Alright guys, so real quick I'm going to show you what I was talking about. Just as far as organization goes, this is super key. So most of these loops are set to about 90, so just to keep it simple, we're going to put our tempo to 90 as well. Just going to make this about 8 bars long just so we have enough room. And just to keep things organized so you know what's what, I'm going to go ahead and label this kick, snare, hi-hat, so we know where our loops are. Alright, so once I've done that, now I can just go ahead and just grab any kick that I want that's in 90, throw it down there, make sure it's coming in on the 1. Same thing with the snare, grab a snare at 90, make sure it's coming in on 1, and grab a hi-hat, same thing, make sure it's coming in on 1. Alright, got that, now we can listen to it. So super cool, because if you wanted to, now if I want to go ahead and change the kick, I can go ahead and do that. Alright, so let's say you want a different snare now. Find another snare in 90. Oops, let's hear that. Super dope. Now let's say maybe you don't like the kick anymore, so let's go ahead and grab a different kick. Completely changes the feel. Now I don't like the hi-hats anymore, so I want to grab a different hi-hat. Not sure on the snare though, so let's go ahead and look for another snare that's in 90. This is just super dope as far as like workflow, so that you can keep the creativity flowing. You could move on a lot quicker to the next thing. Welcome back guys. Did you enjoy that as much as I did? Okay, moving on. Alright guys, method number 1 is going to be the usual way you guys see me making beats. This usually occurs when I have a lot more time to dive into the packs, and obviously there's a whole lot more going on the production side of things. So let's just jump into that. Let me show you guys what I cooked. Alright guys, so first I started with this sample. Dropped it 5 semitones, and then I grabbed this vocal, dropped that 5 semitones, chopped it up to kind of switch up the feel, and this is what those two sound like together. Then I grabbed this little bell sample, and I kind of chopped it into one note so that I can kind of repeat that note over and over. It just has a little subtle texture. This is the drum pattern that I came up with. Alright, so then I wanted to throw some pads on top of that, so this is what that sounds like all together. Meanwhile, when those pads came in, I took that as an opportunity to kind of switch up the vocal. So I ended up grabbing a different part of the vocal sample just to kind of switch things up and add like a different feel. Then I kind of added this little arpeggiation sound on top of the pads, which is actually a sub by Massive. I just took it up a couple octaves, threw that drip plugin on it, because you know what they say, man, 2 clicks and you are done. And this is the full beat. Alright guys, so moving on to method number 2. This one I usually use when I'm performing live, or to be honest, if I only have maybe 25 to 35 minutes but I'm really excited and want to dive into this new pack that I just got, I'll go ahead and use this method. Alright, so for that we're going to take a closer look at the machine so I can show you guys what I'm talking about. Alright guys, so real quick, just so you know, whenever I'm doing this, I'm usually not using stems, and those of you that don't know, stems are basically just the song broken up into each instrument. So if you have a song that has drum, bass, and guitar, then the stems would be just the guitar, just the drums, or just the bass. Yeah, so usually whenever I'm doing this, I like to use full songs, sometimes without the drums, sometimes with the drums. Thankfully, whenever Chris Punsalon posts these, he always includes the full WAV file that has all the instruments, so that's what I got loaded up here. Yeah, so I try to have everything color coordinated, so the yellow pad is going to be the original sample. So you got the kick, the snare, the hi-hat, and a ride cymbal. Then I went ahead and chopped those up. Yeah, so I'm not trying to get too technical with this, but I'm basically just hitting the kick drum with my thumb, and with any of my other fingers, I'm hitting the sample at the same time. And the cool thing about this that I notice is that whenever I make beats this way, I notice that I tend to come up with stuff that I wouldn't have come up with if I did things the way I did in the first method. Like I said before, this is also one of the ways that I like to perform live. Kind of makes things a little bit easier and doesn't take up so much of my CPU. It's also really easy on the eyes and aesthetic for people to look at when they see my hands doing so much more. Alright, so I'm going to mess around with this for a bit and see what I can come up with. Dope. We're gonna try one more. I already have the sample loaded up. Alright, yeah, so the same thing. The red pad is gonna be the original sample. The blue pads are gonna be the kick, snare, hi-hat, and ride again. And again, the yellow pads are the chops of what I came up with. So this is the original sample. Alright, so let's see what we can do with this. So we can definitely mess with that. So we're going to go ahead and expand on that. Maybe try to add some vocals. So yeah, I'm basically going to show you guys now how I would take this and utilize it in my live performance. Alright guys, that's going to conclude today's video. Thanks so much for sticking around to the end if you did. If you have any questions about what you guys saw today, go ahead and leave them down below. Now I'll make sure to get back to you guys as soon as I can. If you found this video helpful or liked what you saw, please make sure to like. That way YouTube can go ahead and recommend the video to other people who otherwise wouldn't see my videos. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Also stay tuned for my next video guys. I'm going to be going over a couple of my software upgrades and just pretty much showing you guys what I've learned with them so far and how I'm using them. Thanks a lot guys for stopping by and giving me your time, and we'll see you in the next one.